Good morning. Let's drive to San Francisco. All right, good morning. Like I said, we're driving to San Francisco. It is currently 2:15 a.m. I just got gas, and now I have my friend's address plugged in, and we're driving. And as of right now, my ETA is 3:08 or 15:08. So I am on my way. We'll see what happens. This journey starts in Spokane, and it ends up further south in San Francisco. Now, I got to San Francisco by way of Sacramento to see one of my friends. It's still 900 hours, it's 14 driving hours each way. So you might be asking, why on earth would you drive a zillion miles to San Francisco and back in 60 hours, especially leaving at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning? Well, the answer is twofold. It starts, like most of my stories, with Paper Republic. My boss is moving to start a PhD program, and I convinced our department to go in on a Paper Republic journal for him. This is not sponsored by Paper Republic. Please, I have like 15 subscribers. I'm just a girl in love with stylized leather goods and an obsession with good quality stationery. However, to get a Paper Republic journal custom from Vienna, with the current government shutdown and the tariff situation, I was in serious denial about his gift arriving in time. Imagine my surprise a couple of weeks ago when I was in an accepted society study group. Again, not sponsored, just love my community. And Ruby mentions that she went to Top Drawer and bought herself a Paper Republic for her birthday. Happy belated birthday, Rubes. I immediately jumped online to find out that Paper Republic is only sold in stores in the US at a store called Top Drawer. And there happens to be a Top Drawer location in San Francisco. Now, at this point in the story, I had already resigned myself that I would not be able to go to San Francisco to meet up with Kate and other accepted society friends. It was too far. It was too expensive. Too all the things. If I flew, it would cost hundreds of dollars. If I drove, it would be hundreds of hours. Not really, of course, but you can see the dilemma. So I sat down and thought this through again. If I go to San Francisco, I can see Kate and my friends, and I can get the Paper Republic gift for my boss. His going away party, send off, whatever you want to call it, is on Friday. So I knew I had a short turnaround. I sat down, planned out my route, and honestly, that's when I made it happen. I spoke to a few different friends, and my colleague who lives in Sacramento, which is about 2 hours away from San Francisco, said I could stay over Sunday night at her house. She wanted to show me why she couldn't leave her neighborhood to move to Spokane, which is a frequent conversation of ours. And her cat, Hazel, she ended up becoming an unofficial mascot of my road trip. So that's how we got here, in my car, Sunday morning, with these views, driving down the interior West Coast to California. Now, something you probably don't know about me is that my daddy was a long-haul truck driver when I was a child. He's had a lot of careers and had many iterations of himself, but some of my only childhood memories of him relate to him being a long-haul trucker. There's a particularly sad memory that I have of me waking up in the middle of the night and being thirsty and wanting a cup of apple juice and seeing him in the kitchen putting away his lunchbox and thinking, oh, he won't give me any apple juice. And this is the story that gets told around the table at my family functions sometimes. But my dad's life on the road, I feel, has had a bizarre impact on my life. Road trips, driving at bizarre hours, the road, it all feels like it's in my blood. I'm the first to volunteer to drive, and I'd prefer to drive than trust someone else with my life. But that's probably a conversation for my therapist. I used to leave early to get to wherever I'm going at a decent time. Driving to school, the beach, vacation, wherever. I want to drive and get where I'm going. I don't want to dilly-dally. I don't want to be delayed. And I'm the first one to push people out the door. So I was really relieved that my kids and husband didn't come on this trip because I am honestly probably not the best person to be around on these long haul situations, mostly because there's a timeline and there's an expectation and I have anxiety and I need to get going. My husband understands that quite well. Okay, I just got off the interstate because I am going to In-N-Out to get my first ever In-N-Out burger, which, who knows? To me, it's probably just going to be a burger because I don't care. But I couldn't do this without also going to In-N-Out. So that's what we're doing. Nobody said that there would be like 50 cars deep to get In-N-Out at 1 p.m. on a Sunday. So maybe I should have known that. I don't know. But I was not expecting that. All right. I get it. It's not bad at all. I'm not going to lie. That In-N-Out burger was memorable. I'm so glad I stopped and did that. It was a great first experience, even if it was 80 degrees Fahrenheit and people were walking around in shorts in November. Not normal in Spokane, I'll admit, but very normal in California. This is also the time in the road trip that I called my husband and my parents and complained how the heat was an immediate no-go for me. I don't enjoy heat pretty much ever. I'm making the best of it though. This is California, and these are their weather rules. So I rolled down my window and I did what any millennial girl would do. I put on Sheryl Crow's first album and sang my heart out. I guess that's just a requirement when you come to California. You have to play Sheryl Crow and sing at the top of your lungs. I'm sparing you what that looks like, but just know that that's what I was doing in between these takes. But then I got to Sacramento and I got to see some cool spots, including the Shangri-La restaurant in Fair Oaks with this amazing salmon, before coming back to my friend's house and cuddling with her cat Hazel, who, let's be honest, looks kind of like a dwarf panther. And this is me the following morning, drying my hair, because this is what vlogs look like. It's real life. So the next morning I got up after a fantastic night's sleep. I'm not going to lie. There were these amazing bed sheets. They were wonderful. And I headed out. Time to go out. Time to greet the day and drive to San Francisco. Ignore the fact that my hair is knotted. It's just, it was a morning. It sorts itself out later on, I promise. But we ended up enjoying all of these cool things in Sacramento. And I didn't take many videos because I was like in the moment with my friend and I just didn't think about it, to be honest. So when I was leaving her neighborhood that she refuses to leave to move to Spokane because she wants to stay here forever because she loves it. Yes, that's me doing a California stop at that stop sign. I thought I'd take a little video of coming out of the neighborhood because it's beautiful. It just looks so wonderful here. And I know that there is a lot of criticism of Sacramento, that it's not a pretty place, or, I mean, there's all kinds of criticism of Sacramento. But this was a real oasis in the midst of the city. And I'm really glad I got to have this experience. It was really cool. But I wanted to at least document how beautiful this neighborhood was before I made my way to San Francisco, which is now happening. Fast forward 2 hours, we're in San Francisco. Here's the deal. I absolutely loved San Francisco. I thought that was the coolest city that I've been to in a long time. And I've lived in Seattle and I have traveled pretty extensively, to be honest. But I think this is probably one of the neatest cities I've ever been to. And I didn't even do that much in San Francisco. Right now, at this point, I'm waiting to turn to go to Top Drawer. And to be honest, it was worth it. It was all worth it. The traffic was worth it. The weird bridges were worth it. The people yelling at each other were worth it. I would go back to San Francisco in a heartbeat. I was about to say Sacramento, and I don't know if I mean that, but I would definitely go back to San Francisco in a heartbeat. While I'm driving through this part of San Francisco, I'm on my way to Top Drawer, which, like I said earlier, is the only store in the United States that sells Paper Republics in-house. And I want you to know that I love driving through these neighborhoods on my way to Top Drawer. I wasn't stressed in the slightest. I wasn't worried about whether or not I was going to find a parking spot. I wasn't worried about anything. I was literally just having a great time. I thought the streets were beautiful. The sky looks nice. It was just a good experience. But I do want to take the time to shout out Liz at the Union Street Top Drawer store. Try saying that super fast. Liz was amazing. She listened to me when I called her and asked if they had everything in store, if they would be able to do the embossing in store. She listened to all of my questions. She was very patient with me over the phone, and she pulled several sizes of Paper Republics for me, including portfolio and Grand Voyager options. And she pulled some things in the new Bordeaux color, which is gorgeous and beautiful and all the things. But she didn't have to do any of that. She was just enthusiastic about someone knowing about Paper Republic and being just as excited about them. And so I'm really grateful for Liz. She did such a phenomenal job. And if I'm honest with you, we're about to get to Top Drawer in the video, and I didn't take a single video inside of the facility at all, inside of this beautiful building. And you can Google Top Drawer this at Union Street and you can see how beautiful it is. But I just want you to understand that, like, I wanted to film inside. I was so excited about that. I thought it would be so neat to film. And that's not what happened, because I got inside and I'm like, Liz, and she's like, Hannah. And then all of a sudden we are just in this whole journal symbiotic relationship of her nerding out over the parts of the leather goods that she loves, and I'm nerding out over the parts of the journals that I love, and we're just having a grand old time. And I didn't film the first thing. So that's entirely on me. That was not my plan. I had hoped to do some beautiful cinematic shots inside the store. That just did not work out. And you know, I'm still new to YouTube. I'm new to integrating filming into my daily life. But if you look right here on the right, there's Top Drawer, and it's exquisite. I was also able to find parking right in front of the store. So shout out to the fact that, like, the street parking in San Francisco does not suck. I had a great experience. So I was able to park here, pay quickly, hop into the store. Liz and I had like our super awesome nerd out session. And then I am going to show you what the journal itself looks like. Isn't it gorgeous? It's beautiful. I'm so grateful and glad that I was able to do that. And then after Liz and I spent 30 minutes or so together looking at leather goods, I hopped in my car and went back south to Palo Alto to Stanford, because that's where all of my friends are studying at the library at this time, and I'm meeting them for lunch. So this experience was very quick. I was in San Francisco for a very short amount of time before I hopped in my car and headed south to meet up with my friends. But that's the beauty of this adventure. We ended up meeting up at Dots and had some amazing fish tacos. And then massive shout out to my friend Kate in the middle and Laura on the right. I feel quite lucky because I was able to see my friends and to be overwhelmed with emotion at seeing people that you are in community with, that are in the same life journey or experience that you're in. To see them and to be with them is such a gift. And I was so overwhelmed with emotion. I couldn't film this right after we left because I was crying and I was a mess. But I love them so much, and I'm so grateful for this experience, to be able to drive down to get this gift, but also to be with them. It means a lot to me, and I'm really glad I was able to do this. And even though I'm in traffic in San Francisco right now, whatever, traffic is traffic. I can live with this. I got to see my friends, and that will mean more to me than anything else. All right, it's only like 6, it's not even 7 o'clock yet. but I made an executive decision to stop at In-N-Out again to get an In-N-Out burger before I left California. I get it. So I recognize I was just at In-N-Out, and now it's the following morning. Yes, it's Tuesday morning. That was not the plan. My plan was to drive all the way through the night and get to Spokane overnight so that I would be with my family on Tuesday. That was the plan. However, around 12-ish to 12:30-ish, my husband and I were on the phone, and he wanted me to get a hotel. I had several friends texting me wanting me to get a hotel. No one wanted me to drive the whole night through. And to be honest, I didn't really want to drive the whole night through either. Mostly because I had already felt like I had tempted fate too many times. And it was really not a super great situation. Driving that late is terrible for me. And then I ended up sleeping in Bend, Oregon, and then getting up the next morning and hitting the road on my way back to Spokane. I'll be honest with you, Bend, Oregon is awesome. It's probably my favorite place in Eastern Oregon, and I would come back in a heartbeat, but not for a while because I'm pretty exhausted and I don't want to go on another road trip for a while. But in the future, I would definitely come back to Bend and explore. It's a cool town, reminds me a lot of Spokane, and I definitely dig the vibe. But one thing that my husband is adamant about and that I have learned to accept is his adage that we need to surrender to the travel gods. When you are traveling, things are just going to happen that are out of your control, and you can get frustrated and you can lose your mind, and it can just drive you nuts, and it can ruin the adventure and the spirit of the travel. And for years, he has told me that we have to just surrender to the travel gods and accept what's happening because we can't do anything about it anyway. So that's what I did. I got a hotel. I surrendered to the travel gods. I slept well, even though it was not great sleep, but I slept better than I would have if I had just stopped at a rest area or pulled over on the side of the road, which was my original plan. But I slept, got up the next morning, and started driving through Oregon again. And I just want to point out that the video quality here is terrible because of all of the bugs, and just it was a pretty buggy day that morning. And I tried to clean my windshield repeatedly, but it was just so buggy. It was wild, but it was beautiful. And I even saw a few hot air balloons in the sky. I wish I'd gotten those recorded, but I didn't. But it was just a really beautiful day. And driving back to Spokane was actually quite pleasant. And I'm once again just very glad that I got to have this experience. Reflecting on procuring the Paper Republic journal for my boss, seeing my friends, and being able to kind of bring these different goals together into one experience. It really was a wonderful adventure for me, even though I had to delay a little bit and I got home later than I had wanted. And I can pinpoint these little moments that were not what I had hoped for, but overall the experience was fantastic. I will say that this part of Oregon sucks. There was a dust blow up or storm, or I'm not sure exactly what the sign said, but there was some signage about there being a dust bowl effectively for 40 miles. And it was horrific. I'll be honest with you. The skies were beautiful. It was a beautiful morning. And then it looked like hell. And the sky was just filled with dust. You could feel it hitting the car. The windshield would like kind of make a clinking sound. And at one point I kind of just put my fingertips out the window and you could feel it just like pelting the car. It was disgusting. I could easily never experience that again and be perfectly happy. So when I finally made my way back into Spokane and I saw my city at the bottom of the hill, I was just beside myself, overjoyed with coming down the hill and seeing Spokane. Even though it was overcast and, not 80 degrees and shorts weather like it was at In-N-Out the day before, seeing Spokane and knowing I was close to home was a really good feeling. And I'm not the kind of person who generally is okay with the end of a vacation. Normally I don't know, that actually, I feel like I've flip-flopped on that the past few years. But normally I'm like super ready to go home at the end of certain vacations. And this one was no exception to that. I was ready to be home and I was ready to be with my family. And I was super grateful for the experience. And then I was super grateful to be home. So I got home and unloaded my car, came upstairs, and curled up and watched my favorite UFO documentary and called it a day. And that was my experience going to San Francisco in a whirlwind 61-hour adventure, which I will not be repeating anytime soon. Thank you for coming to my channel. Have a good one.